welcome to Meatless Monday. I feel like we're doing a
We are back.
right? We have such. I mean, tonight, like I've been so excited all day, and even last night, I was already excited about today because we had an excellent guest, and now for the first part of Meatless Monday, but now we have someone who's going to help us put all this together with his knowledge and research and
Double
cooking.
header.
We've got Jason Demchok, who will be with us in just a moment. And I was running late and I do apologize to him. However, I just want to read his bio to you to let you know what treat we have with this one. All right, let me pull up my.
Welcome, Buddha. Buddha, you are a trooper.
Welcome, Buddha, and welcome and thank you, Dawn, for putting this together. Buddha is our awesome moderator, and always helps pump everyone
That's
up
moderator on YouTube.
for her, letting everyone know to click subscribe and like. And I'm so thankful for her as well. It's just
We love you, Buddha.
we love you, Buddha. Jason Demchok, who is well known for his Culinary Wisdom whole food cooking program, a practical approach to healthy eating and optimizing health. He's a seasoned system analyst and researcher who's lived in 16 countries and has 2 decades of studying Buddhist and Western psychology to benefit his clients with this multidimensional perspective. It's like that's a summary of it. There is so much that he does and how much he helps clients, and he has a plant-based cooking program, which I think one of the biggest things is knowing what to eat and what to cook. Like, say everything that Jeff said is great. We know now he's got us covered with our supplements. And the next thing is, okay, what are we going to cook? And we want it to taste good too, because you don't just have to eat a plate of lettuce. And that's why I was excited. I've been trying to find the best vegan chef out there, and this definitely we've got him right now as one of the greatest. And Marakita, thank you for joining. Thank you for coming in. She said, hey, JJ, Dawn, and Buddha, welcome in.
Hey, Marquita.
Do you see Jason yet, or did I send him the wrong link?
I do not.
Let me ask him if...
Man, these kids are having a ball outside. I'm eating my watermelon. My stomach was growling, so I decided to have a snack of fruit.
I'm going to make sure I've got him the right link because, with the two of them, I want to make sure I did it right here. So I'm going to send it over to him again.
When you just said that, I was like, oh my God, maybe you sent them the wrong link. Because they were so close together. I'm sending her the links to send them, and it was everything just not to... I was like, please don't let me play the wrong intro with the wrong thumbnail, and please don't let me put the wrong thumbnail up here.
That's
because I loaded all of that and restream at one time, so I'm like, just so it was already there,
Yes,
that would have been embarrassing, but managed to get through it.
That's
Thank
right.
you, universe. Thank you for the help. Man, that was amazing.
Yeah, that was a lot of good information.
I love that.
And he says it in such a clear and concise way that it's hard for me to describe things like that. Like, I know all this information, but the way he presents it and makes it really clear, like, this is why, I've never even heard that reasoning about the milk thing before. I just knew that we were baby cows. And I'm like, that's interesting to really, if you really think about it, it all makes so much sense. And
it really
it's like,
does.
It's hard to break through those barriers, though, because we've been told one thing for so long, and we've been told we need meat and dairy, so it truly is a blessing that I found this information out. And like he said, I know for you too, it's our passion to get this information out there.
Who knew all that about the beans? I mean, I knew they were good for the heart, but the whole reversing cancer thing, that was huge.
Definitely. And Jason's going to tell us about the microbiome, which is, they're doing so much research here recently that it actually even affects our brains. Give me 1 second. This is him.
It's so funny that we were talking about the microbiome. Just in ADT, we were having a conversation right before Jen and I came over here. we were having a conversation in the after hours about the parasites that actually live in your body. And it was a young lady on there who was kind of grossed out by it, which I get it. But I was like, yeah, they were talking about how there are certain things that'll get parasites out of your body. And I said, well, there's a certain amount of parasites that are going to be in your body regardless, and that is the microbiome that takes care of our gut. We need some parasites in our body because they eat away at the bacteria, So yeah,
Found out what happened. Jason, he's going to try. He's putting a hotspot up, trying to come in. He had a storm and knocked his internet out, which I just heard there's like a tornado watch on the East
in
Coast.
Tennessee, dude.
Right.
Lee, one of our
He's in North
moderators over on
Carolina.
ADT, is going through a tornado warning right now, or was earlier.
Oh my goodness. I'm glad, glad everyone's safe.
What about us? The weather's pretty mild here so far.
I just heard someone outside saying there's a tornado warning, not here, but maybe Delaware. And I'm like, okay, what's going on? Like, if I go out right now, at least I put some darn good information out to the world, right? If we get
right,
blown away, we'll be like the first live stream traveling through the air in a tornado. I don't want to even joke about that. I don't think we're in Ocean City anymore. Okay, he said he's coming in now, so hopefully it'll work for him.
I will keep an eye out for him.
It's like they're trying to stop us from getting this important information out. We're not going to do it, right? They're even trying to put
climate control
on us.
Climate control, they can do it.
Be safe, Mariquita and Buddha, wherever you are. Oh, she said she wants watermelon, so you have to share it with her.
Here you are.
There you go. Oh, that looks good. I really could go get some, but I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to steal your watermelon. Feels my cherries at night sometimes. We got to keep, for some reason, the cat, Neo, he is like so interested in fruit. He wants to get it. And the other day I looked away for 1 second. I looked back. He was in my bowl because he's really small, kicking around my cherries.
Kicking around.
In the litter box. I'm like, ew, Neo, these are expensive. I gotta throw
these. No, his little foot was in there, and then the other one was kicking him around. I was on the floor.
I was a little bit upset about my cherries, but he's so cute. I'm like,
he's kicking my cherries.
He got out of it before I could get the picture of it, though. It was cute. It really was. I think that this is such valuable information. I feel like we've got the two streams also one after another. I was telling you, I watched a live stream where Jason, who we were having on, he has a YouTube channel, which we'll link in the description, called Culinary Wisdom. And he interviews people. I know he interviews a plant-based doctor that helped him transition. I think her name is Dr. Lou. And then he also interviews different people, but he interviewed Jeff. And that's where I heard Jeff's story months ago. And it was like so weird. I was like, I felt like I don't know, like what do you call that? Like when you're like you're interviewing celebrities. I saw them both on this stream that was so powerful, and they both have all this knowledge. I'm like, I'm going to interview them on the same day. I was like, this is so cool. So I already read your whole bio or your summary of like, there's so much more, but people can check that out. But welcome, Jason.
Thank you so much for having me. I had no idea Jeff was coming on before me.
I know. Well, that just happened yesterday.
No way. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. And now I'm
like, I was like, well, we could try to, push it if that's, we were excited to get the information.
That's awesome. Out there. I love to. He's just. I don't know if I could follow him, but he's amazing. And I'm honored to be behind him. So yeah.
Definitely. You are the star right now. So I love everything you share. I'm just going to shut my window here because there's some kids playing outside and we don't want them screaming over
my sound. Give me 1 second. I'm so sorry.
Okay. I can still hear you.
Can you hear me?
Can you hear them through my window, Jen?
You know what it was? I shut down my Chrome volume and it shut down you guys. So I got to close some stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, how's everything?
Do you do anything with watermelon?
I eat a lot of it.
Me too.
So some things I just like, just on their own. You could put a little lime on it, maybe.
I'm so
Now that
excited.
sounds
I
good.
heard we're going to talk about this later, but he had me laughing so hard today when I said I want to talk to you about fermentation, and he had MAGA. Wait a minute, what was it? No,
Mafuga, Mafuga.
MFGA, MFGA, making
What's
fermentation
mafuga?
great
Make
again.
fermentation great again.
Ah,
So,
Because the idea is like,
that's the acronym for
yeah,
it. I got it.
back in the day, everybody used to ferment everything. Like every culture in the world, they were fermenting stuff because they didn't have pasteurization, refrigeration. So that's why I say make it great again. And it is so, healthy to eat it.
I love it.
Yeah.
So before we get into that and all and pulling your knowledge out of you, that I have all these questions, can you tell us a little bit, because I love doing this in the beginning, like how you came across this vegan thing? Were you like your parents vegan, or how did that work out?
um, so it's been a long journey. Um, Even as a kid, actually, I didn't like the idea of eating animals. So that was always just something that was in me. It always felt weird. Then I eventually just kind of caved in and I would eat it, but always with like a lot of seasonings. So it didn't taste like
Yeah.
meat. It was always kind of a weird thing. And then when I was in my early 20s, I discovered Ayurveda. It's a holistic health system and from India, and it advocates vegetarian. So they're eating dairy, but no eggs and no meat. So I did that for a while, and felt good not to eat the animals. Now I know that dairy is just as harmful for the body and also for the for the animals.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
but then I actually wound up getting into like the paleo and the functional medicine and taking all these supplements and eating meat because I thought there were things that you couldn't get from just plants. I thought you needed meat in order to get um, your DHA, your vitamin K2. So I thought, okay, I have no choice but to eat animals because if I don't, I'm not going to be healthy. So it didn't feel right, but I did it, and my health was always good because I was active and did organic, and but not my best. And I met a woman named Dr. Lou, a doctor, and she's the one who enlightened me to many ideas, but one of them was the whole food plant-based diet. And then I thought at first, like, no way, that can't be good for you. But I tried it and I felt great. In about 2 weeks, I felt completely better. Then I started digging into the research, and I was amazed at everything I was discovering. But then I was still a little bit nervous. There was still, well, what about the vitamin K2 and certain things that I thought like, well, we just can't get them, or our body doesn't convert the ALA, for example, from flax seeds. Like, no matter how many flax seeds you eat, you're not going to make enough DHA. You need to eat fish. But then that's when I met Jeff, actually, and he's the one who showed me, good research that our bodies can convert the vitamin K1 to K2, the ALA to DHA. So, and that was it. So that was like a little over 2 years ago.
Wow.
That was the missing link there that made
Yes.
you. And I feel like on our journey, it's funny because everybody, like most people, go vegetarian because they have this, like, especially if they do it for the animals, which I'm assuming with you studying, that type of the Buddhist way of thinking too, that all helped playing a part. And I think most of us didn't feel right, but we just ignore it when we eat animals as a kid because we're not
Oh, yeah.
really built that way. But I think it's interesting that we still all think, wait, is this right? Because it's like we're told that for so long. And like we were
Yeah.
talking about with Jeff, the media, that it's always like you remember that person or that thing. Like for us, it was a video called Raw that was just a documentary. It had Woody Harrelson in it, oddly enough, that flipped the switch, and I said, I got to start researching this. And and it's so interesting. So you're like you were a researcher initially, right? So that's where that whole digging in, because I know you have like knowledge on so much that has to do with food. And then how did you get into cooking too?
I got to know about the K2 too. So at some point, please go back to that. Where do we get? Because we're taking a supplement for it.
You are. Very
Yes.
interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, I was doing that for a while too, and I still once in a while will take one. But Jeff really showed me that if you're eating enough fiber in your diet, which most people aren't, but if you're getting enough fiber in your diet, you're breeding this diverse and abundant bacteria that do all types of things. One of the things they do is convert K1 to K2. So you might see like when on kale, it's got like 800% of your K vitamin K requirements. So you're getting all this K1, but can you convert it? And again, it's the bacteria that do it. And yeah, Jeff can show you the research. So the same thing with something called oxalates. You might have heard of oxalates.
Yes.
So everyone's like, oh my God, don't eat too much spinach because spinach is super high in oxalates. But it turns out, again, if you are eating a lot of fiber, you're breeding these bacteria, and one of the things these bacteria do is eat the oxalates, not just in the food you're eating, but even the oxalates your own body makes. So your body makes oxalates. I remember Dr. Lu also told me, that when she goes back to China, they're eating spinach every day. They're eating soy every day. So you would think that they would have like man boobs, because that's what I was told. If you eat soy, you're gonna get man boobs, right? So I was under that impression, and then I was also under the impression, like the oxalates are going to be an issue. But when you're eating a high fiber, whole food, plant-based diet, you're a different person. You can't even you take a human who's eating meat or omnivorous and low fiber, and a person who's eating fiber, their entire microbiome is different. So it's like a completely different type of human being from that point of view. So yeah, our bodies do convert the K1 to K2. And also interesting, talking about fermented vegetables. So I haven't had a really good opportunity to find really solid research. It seems to be like back and forth, but it turns out when you make fermented vegetables, you're getting K2 from the fermented vegetables because they're bacteria. Wow. Like when you're fermenting, you're basically like replicating what's going on in your gut. You're making it a place for these bacteria to thrive. So then when you eat it, they're in the sauerkraut. So what they're doing in your gut, they're doing in the jar. So one of the things is make K2. So I would definitely like to see more solid evidence, but yeah, Jeff hasn't taken K2, so I trust him.
Yeah, I definitely trust you both, and I'm glad to know that
and sauerkraut's one of my favorite things too.
So. Really? So do you make it?
I've never made it.
Wow, and
that's what we need to know. How do you do it?
Okay. Well, there is a process. I mean, it's simply put. I mean, you can just look it up, but I do teach it as part of my 8-part program. So I want to teach people foundational skills, but it's basically you're taking vegetables, right? Now I don't know, when you buy the sauerkraut, are you getting it in the jar in the refrigerator, or is it on the shelf?
I've had it both ways, in a jar or like in a bag.
We had this one that was supposed to be
cabbage, right? Is that shredded cabbage?
Yeah, but you get it in the refrigerated section, right?
No, I don't think the one that we got.
Yeah, actually it was. Yeah, where the lunch meat was. Yeah.
Because when I grew up, you get a hot dog in New York, right? They have they take out the hot dog and they take out this thing of sauerkraut. That sauerkraut that comes out of a jar that's off the shelf, that's on the shelf, that's been pasteurized, which meaning it kills the bad bacteria, but it also kills the good bacteria.
Oh wow!
Oh yeah. So same thing with pickles. So to simply put, the concept of lactofermentation is where you're taking vegetables like cabbage, like peppers. You could print everything on your screen. I'm seeing cabbage, peppers, cucumbers, kale. You're putting it in a brine, which is salt water, because the salt will keep out the unwanted bacteria and allow the good bacteria to thrive. So you're creating this ecosystem, and then the bacteria will eat the sugars that are in the vegetable, because even cabbage has sugar, right? So the bacteria that are in the air, that are already on the cabbage. There's bacteria everywhere. Like even in your eyeballs, there's bacteria. The whole world is full of bacteria. It's really cool. So when you're putting it in that salt water and you let it sit in the right temperature for a week or more, the bacteria are eating the sugars, and they are doing a whole bunch of beneficial things for us. One, they're converting the sugar into acetic acid, which is like vinegar. So there's benefits of that. There's all types of benefits to just the acetic acid. But on top of that, these bacteria are producing vitamin B's and C. So you're getting your B vitamins, your C vitamins, maybe K2. We talked about that. So when you eat a cabbage, you're going to get C vitamins, you're going to get B vitamins, right? You're going to get enzymes. But when you ferment it, now you've just increased the amount of B vitamins, C vitamins, enzymes. Plus, you're also eating these good bacteria. So instead of taking a probiotic pill, you're taking the actual bacteria. So you're getting the bacteria.
It's a win-win.
It's many wins, yeah. Now there is some people who wonder, if you eat the bacteria in the sauerkraut, does it make it to your colon, or does your stomach acids kill it? So the answer, I don't think people know, but we do know that people who eat sauerkraut and fermented vegetables, they have more positive health results. So there's a lot going on. The vitamin increase, the enzymes, the acetic acid, and on top of that, the vegetables that you ferment are also more easily digested because they're already kind of being digested outside of you. So there's a lot. Plus, they're delicious.
Do you use sea salt?
Yeah.
Okay.
I recommend, I use Himalayan pink salt or Celtic sea salt.
That's what I love.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So now you're getting the minerals in there as well. Now, I know you asked me a question about research, and I went off on a tangent, but
yeah, and I've already thought of like another one about this, but let's talk about
real quick. So I started cooking, believe it or not, when I was like 7 years old. My grandfather had like a deli. My father was just a foodie. My mom didn't cook, so my father cooked. So I would be in the kitchen watching him, and he was adventurous. So he would go to get like all different cookbooks from all different parts of the world, and so I would just see all these spices. So I learned at like 7 years old how to like do a stir fry, So and that started just this thing. I always thought it was cool. And then I remember I learned how to bake from some camp I went to. And at that point I was just like, okay, I need to cook.
I'm into
so when I went away to college, the first 2 years I was in the dorms. But even in the dorms, I had like a little grill that was like illegal, and I was like cooking, like hamburgers and stuff. But I was always like looking to spice it up. Someone mentioned spicing, so I was always loved spices. And then once I had my own apartment, when I was like 19, 20, I was just cooking and I was just experimenting, and then I traveled, as you know. I traveled to many countries, and everywhere.
That's funny. You don't look that old.
I know.
You went to college in 1920.
16 countries, living one a day.
1920.
No, I did most of that traveling, believe it or not, before I was 25. Out of those 16 countries, 14 of them were before I was 25.
Nice.
Because from 20 to 25, I just traveled a lot. I worked a little bit, but then I traveled, make money, then travel again. So everywhere I went, though, I was a super foodie. So I wasn't so much interested in the health at that time. I was more interested in just learning food. So I went to university in Japan for a year. Wow. I was an exchange student. So I was like learning from these Japanese women how to cook different things. And They did a lot of fermentation as well. And then I traveled, and everywhere I went, I just started becoming obsessed with like, let me go to the local markets and see what they're eating and ask people how to cook different things. And
Your dad.
yeah, exactly. I pursued that legacy, and then, like I said, I studied Ayurveda, and Ayurveda is a medical system, but it emphasizes food a lot. So, and then it's just been a whole journey. But I have to say that after finally going whole food plant based, from a culinary point of view, this is the happiest I've ever been. Because there was a time when I was afraid of carbs, and now this type of food is the most delicious. And like, you cut out like meat, right, and a couple of things, but you get there's so many vegetables, there's so many spices, and there's just
Is your dad still with us?
yes, he is, and it's
I know he's got to be so proud of you. Traveling. He got it in books. You went to these places.
That's so funny that you said that. Yes, he is definitely. And
that's awesome.
now he's still a good cook. I'm working on getting him more plant based. But one cool thing is, I know you guys have recently gone pretty much like raw, right? You've been doing raw for a while.
Yes.
Yep.
So we're kind of on the same path. I thought, again, I was afraid, about the K1, the K2, and all these other things. Then I was like, okay, I got over that fear, but I still had the fear of like protein, right? So I'm like, even though I know we don't have to eat as crazy amount, I was like, I got to eat a lot of beans or else I'm not going to get enough protein. So now I'm in a place, talking to Jeff, like he was a bodybuilder and, not eating so much protein. So I started doing a lot more raw and eating even less beans. So I told my father I'll make him some, green smoothies and stuff.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's hard. The hardest people to transform are our family. We've noticed that, like recently, well, not recently, but in the last 4 years that we've been plant-based. Can you tell? So, do you find that, like, that's what I find amazing is you have all these countries that you visited, all this different kind of food, and now you're taking the plant-based food
Yes.
and putting that spin on it. So, like, that is, if I'm going to learn to cook and then you want somebody who's going to keep you healthy, it's like tastes good,
Yes,
has the health benefits. And when we were talking about fermenting and microbiome, can you just tell us, for those of us who really don't know, like, what is the microbiome and like what does that do, like, for us?
Well, I'll do my best because this is really complex. But
Right.
I just want to say, in addition to healthy, delicious food, it's also very cost efficient. You'll save a ton of money. As you know, like a pound of organic beans is $1.99 at most places, and you save time if you prep if you cook in bulk. That's kind of how I teach to cook as well. So what is the microbiome? Okay, so technically the word microbiome stands for like all of the genetic material of all of the beings that live inside of us that are not us technically. Okay, even though the amount of bacteria in our gut outnumber us, right? So they outnumber the human cells. So we have human cells, but then we have all these things living in our gut, and those beings in our gut, technically not part of our body, they outnumber the rest of the body. It's pretty fascinating.
Yes.
There's bacteria. I think they identified like 35,000 different species. There's 10 trillion or like 100 trillion actual bacteria, but the number of species is up to 35,000.
Yeah,
they all do different things. And if you're eating meat, you're going to be breeding. Think about it. Every time you eat, you're breeding different bacteria. Mm-hmm. So they're opportunistic. So if you're eating meat, you're going to breed these bacteria that like meat. And those ones produce a whole bunch of toxic things like TMAO that you don't want. Whereas if you're eating if you're eating fiber, then you're going to breed a different type of bacteria that like fiber, and those bacteria break down the fiber and produce something called short chain fatty acids like butyrate, which do all types of good stuff for us. But that's just one aspect of the microbiome. I mean, they literally do so many things. They produce serotonin, they produce dopamine, so they regulate our feelings, our emotions. They're very intricately connected to our immune system.
Wow.
They also they turn genes on and off. So
Oh, that's
very, very, very important. It's like, so I like to think of it like I really do think of it as like I'm the host, right? Like they
Yeah.
live inside of me. They're my job is to take care of them because they don't have like arms and legs to go eat. So I have to feed them and take care of them. And if I take care of them, they take care
They
of me.
take care of you.
Yeah.
That is interesting. And I wanted to welcome Mary Jones. Mary was my guest, I think it was maybe 3 weeks ago now. She completely reversed rheumatoid arthritis.
Hey, Miss Mary.
It's nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. And I guess the thing is, what I was going to say to you is with your and so the way that can feed the microbiome, it's just like I didn't even know what that was. And like for those people who might be suffering with different things that we didn't even think about with food, like depression and different things, how much that plays a part in it is just amazing. And I had something I was gonna say and now I totally forgot. It's like you have so much knowledge. I thought
I'll just say that, yeah, just like just imagine like from your mouth until where you go to the bathroom, it's like a long tube. And that tube is, you want that tube to be very, very tight. So if it's not tight, and again, eating meat, low fiber diet, all these things are going to cause, and glyphosate, so chemical toxins, are going to cause big holes, big tube, in this tube, and now food is going to get out, and that's a big, big problem. That activates the inflammation. But what we do want is when we eat the food, the bacteria digest the food in that tract. But then there's a very, very, very complicated process of how the food that they digest, all the nutrients get released into our blood after it's been digested. So again, it sounds like really complicated, but the trick is to just eat whole food, plant-based. Because when you're eating the whole food plant-based with the fiber, those bacteria are producing that butyrate and other things that are protecting, are healing that tract, that lining. So
That's
awesome.
And what is like, I think a lot of people, like when I used to think of fiber, I would think of, okay, it's like rice, you know what I mean? But fiber is actually in vegetables and fruits, right?
believe it or not, like, yeah, the most important, there's like soluble fiber and insoluble fiber. Those are two categories, even though it's much more complex than that. But believe it or not, like most people think of fiber as like, like greens, right? Like you eat a piece of kale and it's like fibrous. Actually, beans are the highest source of fiber, and think of how soft they are. So soluble fiber is not hard fiber. It's just what happens with soluble fiber, like when you eat oats, that kind of sliminess, that kind of like little bit, what that does is that type of fiber, when it mixes with water, it becomes like a gel. And that gel, not only does it slow down digestion, so you don't get the sugar spike when you're eating processed food. So when you're eating fiber and polyphenols, which is another thing in whole foods, you're changing the way your body absorbs sugar, so you're not getting that high and that crash. That's number one. But and it also makes you feel full. It also pulls out bile and toxins, this gel, but also that gel feeds the microbiome. So one of the things, but I made that complicated. Really, when you think of fiber, just think of it as it's material in food that does not get digested in the small intestine. So the small intestine is where we break down proteins, and we absorb we absorb fats and stuff.
Uh-huh.
But what doesn't get digested in there passes on into the colon, the large intestine, and that's where most of the microbiome live.
Okay.
So fiber is just anything that doesn't get absorbed in the small intestine that goes on to pass into the large intestine where the bacteria can feed on it.
That is so interesting. Like the body is so amazing, and I love talking to people like you who can explain it to us. Because the average person, we just are told you should eat this, you shouldn't eat that, and we don't know. But now we know why we should eat certain
That's
things.
really what I feel like my mission is with the food, is to take the doctors who do great research, and even someone like Jeff, and try to make it really like fun and turn it into a story. I'd love to make like a comic book about fiber, like a little comic about Fred the fiber,
Right.
Yeah.
because it's really not complicated, but it's so important. It's
Yeah.
really so important. And with all this talk about fat, everyone is like, they look at a piece of food like, is it high in carbs? Is it high in fat? Is it high in protein? Like, oh, chicken breast. Oh, they don't even think of it as a chicken. They don't think about it as anything else but how much protein, how much fat, how much carbs. So I want to change the story and bring in the idea of fiber and polyphenols, which polyphenols are what give fruits and vegetables their beautiful colors, and also what gives spices their spicy flavor and seasonings. That's all polyphenols, which have great benefits and also feed our bacteria, our microbiome.
That's awesome.
And I understand that you do like a full approach. Like I was looking on your website. So like we're not just going on and learning how to cook or how to get these basic skills like fermenting and putting things
Exactly.
together, but we're learning how to even shop, right? Like in a
Exactly.
sense.
That's exactly right. Yes. When people inquire about my program, I tell them right away, if you want like vegan recipes, they're free, you know? So go ahead, look them up. But I want to take people who are either they've never been in the kitchen in their whole life and they're intimidated, or they have trauma in the kitchen, or people who know how to cook, but they want to have a way to make it um, so they can prep and have it for like 5 days worth of food without having to cook every day, and not have to do all the research. So that's my goal, is to take people and transform them into whole food chefs. So I show where to buy the food. So if you're in America, I send out a PDF with all the ingredients for every part, and there's like, it shows you where to buy. Like, get this at Whole Foods. I show where the best prices are for different things.
Wow.
So so even Walmart and Aldi's, I have what foods you can get from there. And then as far as the equipment goes, like when you do the fermentation, I recommend you get these lids, which make the fermentation process so much easier. So, when I first started fermenting, I didn't have these lids. So you would have to, every couple of days, open it up and let the air out with these.
Oh, wait a minute. You're talking about the mesh lids that go on the top of the mason jars?
That's for sprouting. I do that too in my
Because
program.
I've sprouted before. Okay.
So sprouting is also amazing, but sauerkraut has a little bit different lids. So yeah, I show where to get both of those.
Nice.
So I'm showing where to get it. So,
that's good stuff.
Yeah, if you feel like going on your own and doing it, like I'm not going to stop you, but like, obviously, but if you just want all of the research, my 30 years of cooking experience and all the research I've done, if you just want to know how to make like what and it's based on the book like Fiber Fueled and Mastering Diabetes. So if you want like the best high fiber food, delicious, I have a dressing called I call it like the world peace dressing. because it's got like food
Wow.
from all over the world. It's got like tahini from the Middle East. It's got like balsamic vinegar.
Oh,
And
it
it's got
sounds
like
great.
miso from
It's my
Japan.
favorite.
Yeah, yeah. So I have a dressing like that. So yeah, I just take all of the guesswork out. So you could just take the program, and then by the end, you know exactly where to buy everything, how to cook it, and you're going to have those skills for the rest of your life. Now, again, I'm not giving recipes; I'm giving skills. So you learn how to make a bunch of beans, a bunch of potatoes, and different sauces. But then you could have it in a salad. You could have it in a Buddha bowl, like a big bowl, or you can just take the beans and everything you already made and turn it into a stir fry. So, but I'm teaching you how to have the food in your fridge. Like I tell people, like don't just buy like a jar of tahini, right? Let me buy a jar of tahini because that's what the dressing is. Go buy 5 jars of tahini. This way you don't have to keep going to the store. You know how much time you're wasting by going
Do
to the
you
store?
ever record yourself like making these dishes and things like that?
Yeah, well, the program comes with videos, so it's all recorded.
That's
So
pretty
there's
cool.
videos. It's videos, but it's also a lot of, it's like you get the videos. So because everything I teach is super simple, but I give my support. I help people. One of the biggest obstacles I find is people are just overwhelmed with. They're just not good with time management, which is another thing I do besides food. Is I help people with just crafting their life. Like things are very different now, and most people are working harder and longer, and they just need to work smarter. They need to, and we're gonna have AI. I'm thinking like a year from now. Like
Yeah.
I'm already seeing like robot lawnmowers. We're gonna have a
Yeah.
lot more robots doing a lot more things for us. So we need to start learning to take our time and use our time. Um, so so what I was saying is the biggest obstacle. One of the biggest obstacles I find, people are like, oh, I don't have time. Everyone's like, I don't have time to cook, even though I'm going to save you time. Like I don't have money, I'm going to save you money. But what has to happen is people need to go into their schedule and look at where they're not using their time efficiently, and say to themselves, okay, I'm going to cook 1 day a week. I'm going to start by scheduling time, and I'm going to be in the kitchen. Because that's the problem. People just they don't schedule time, and that comes from not prioritizing at the end of the day. That's why, again, it's tricky. You can't force people to do it. They have to really see themselves. Do you want to be a cook? Do you want to have the power to become an alchemist? To be able to take something like a bean. It's a hard bean. You soak it and it becomes soft, and then you cook it and it becomes super high source of protein and fiber. You know what I mean? It's like magic. And then you can take that and you can feed yourself and feed others and heal.
Do you ever just put beans in a pot and fill it with water and then just cook them for like a couple of hours, or do you always soak them first?
Always soak them first.
Okay.
I was wondering too, or not wondering, but I was going to mention that this probably, and I know Dawn and I, we only keep good stuff, like healthy stuff in the house, and so there's a lot of people though, like to your point, if you go and you buy one thing at a time, or you go to the store even for a week's worth of stuff, and you run out, or you don't have something on hand, you're going to make a bad choice. So I love your program because it's going to teach them how to make better, like have even their kids make better choices because it's already there in the house for them.
Exactly. Because if you can just show your kids, like, again, imagine like you have like beans, sweet potatoes, dressing, sauerkraut, pickled onions. These are even a millet, like it's a whole grain. If you just have that in the fridge, it literally takes 5 minutes to put together a meal. So your kids can just put it together. Then you
This
could
is
even
coming from the 7-year-old chef.
Exactly.
He should know, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I only like set the toaster on fire one time. But
Oh, that's better than us. We've set the kitchen on fire a couple times, but we will talk about that later. That's why I'm
Yeah.
raw. No, I'm just kidding.
See, we had no business eating that pizza. Put a pizza
That's,
box in the
that's
oven, it
what it
catches on
was.
fire.
This was 10 years ago or 15 years ago, and we still remember that crazy time.
Oh my God,
Uh,
that's so funny.
the oven was never the same.
Just a little bit too hot, and we put the box in there. We didn't have the pizza on a tray or anything. And oh my God, luckily we had some spray,
Mm.
the
I'm
spray
gonna
that
tell
you
you
can
what.
extinguish fire with, and yeah.
I never
Otherwise, we'd
liked
have had an
putting the
issue.
box in there. I was always leery of it. I'm just saying. I'm not gonna.
I think you were the one that put it in there that time.
She told me it was okay. That's what. We'll blame each other for that one, right? At least the house was still in
I
order.
put it out.
That's true. Yeah, you saved us. But yeah, if you don't want to burn your house down, call Jason, right? No.
Well, you guys don't have to worry, right? So you're eating completely raw?
Right now, yeah, I went raw for 6 months at the
Oh, wow.
beginning of my vegan journey in 2019, and then I lost a lot of weight, and I couldn't figure out like how to sustain it because I was like already used to like intermittent fasting, eating once a day, and I was like I can only eat so much of this plate of salad, and I'm still like kind of not maintaining the weight. I wanted to pick up a little weight, so I started eating rice and beans and then like some whole foods and then
Potatoes.
for potatoes. Well, that was the Chipotle era when I found sofritas, and then I was like to try some stuff for the group is what I said for my Facebook group. I went to processed, foods and realized not long after that that wasn't the right route, and then back to whole foods, and then I kind of met since Mary's still here, I met the minister of wellness and had him on an interview, and he was talking about how like the highest carbs are actually like you can gain weight with fruit,
Right.
and they actually digest easier. And then so I started really researching how can I maintain weight because I felt better raw. I always kept myself like 90% raw or 85%,
Mm.
even with eating vegan burgers. So I'm like, how do I go back to all raw? Try doing mostly fruits. And then you're really making me think because I buy olives because I heard that about the microbiome. And now I'm thinking the ones I'm buying in the jar are not even giving me the bacteria I need anyway. So I'm like, it's funny how we evolve on this journey,
Yeah.
you know?
Olives are
You
olives
can
are
only get olives in jars, right?
olives are interesting. You don't eat olives for the probiotic benefits.
Okay.
They have many other benefits, but when it comes to like sauerkraut or like pickles, those are better fermented. But olives have a whole bunch of other benefits. Again, anything with fiber and polyphenols is going to support the microbiome. But when you eat a fermented vegetable like sauerkraut, you're actually ingesting the bacteria.
So
So
you
I wouldn't tell you to stop eating olives. They're good.
would be able to take somebody like how would this oh wait a minute, let me let Dawn go. Do you want to talk about your reasons for raw?
Oh yeah. So
God.
I want to just say yes. I've learned the same thing that eating a lot of fruit, I find, really fills you up, and like we don't need to have that heavy feeling of eating. Even with me with the beans, so I don't have to eat tons of beans to feel like. But I do eat like one cooked meal a day.
Mm-hmm.
That's been feeling really good. In fact, I have something ready to go after this.
I was gonna say, I know you're gonna make us hungry with it, right?
Yeah, like black bean chili.
Oh,
And
Oh,
like,
that sounds good.
yeah, and I have like these. I got these beautiful little like orange, super sweet cherry tomatoes, and I throw
Mm.
that in there and make it really spicy.
Oh,
Oh
goodness,
wow. That sounds really good.
delicious. And I look at your pictures on like Instagram and Facebook, and like literally, you can just get hungry by watching him. Like, he'll share a picture, and I've seen you do like parties and cook for people too.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, they are really getting a treat and teaching people that might not be plant based at the party
Mm-hmm.
how they can eat healthy and still it tastes good. Because I I think 90% of like people think, oh, I can't do my normal routine. Like I can't make like this big, turkey or chicken and have the kids eat off of it. Like I can't eat that way. Plant-based seems so difficult and things. So
Mhm.
like this kind of takes that guesswork out of it. Like, yeah, you can still buy things in bulk and do it cheap and do it in a way that's healthy for your family, which is why it's so important, because that's like the number one reason that people tell, I wouldn't know what to eat, I wouldn't know what to cook. Like
I
that's
know.
why.
That's what I do this for, and yeah, it's like the people who eat my food, who eat meat every single day, they're like, "Oh my God, this is delicious. This is one of the best." But there's just people don't want to be labeled as a vegan, like it's very.
It's like a dirty word. It's like an F word.
Yeah,
It's a V
and
word.
even if you call whole food plant-based, I mean, it's just people's identity. They don't want to, they don't want to go out with their friends like, oh, you don't eat meat anymore? What's wrong with you? It's like this like a
Right.
masculinity with eating like a piece of meat that was like killed by somebody else. It's like, it's not masculine. It's not like tough or anything.
We saw Jeff's muscles, right, too, and you're in shape. So, like, yeah, we don't need, like, you're not going to look like this frail, person that doesn't, have nutrition when you're plant based. Dawn, I know when he said pickled onions, you were like, your ears had to perk up.
I used to, when as a kid, I would buy like the big ones
Mm.
and just peel it off layer by layer and just eat little pieces off of it.
Raw or pickled?
Pickled. I'm an onion fanatic, so anything I have to have tons of onion. I love onion.
Me too. Me too. So
Red onion.
but now you're doing raw. Like you're not eating raw onions, are you?
Yeah. I'm eating raw red onions in my salad.
Nice. If you pickle them, I like pickling them because it's kind of like the best of both worlds. It's still raw, and I use balsamic vinegar, so they come out super sweet.
Right.
And you let it sit for a few.
Pickle them with some cucumber. I love
Ooh,
that.
that's really good too. And so you're getting the benefits of the raw, but you're also they're a little bit easy to digest, a little less spicy, and a little less like onion breath. If you
Are you doing just plain balsamic vinegar, not a vinaigrette or
no.
dressing or anything?
I keep everything simple. Yeah.
And could you?
What kind of balsamic vinegar? Any particular
Well,
kind?
there's two
that
types.
tastes better?
There's like the thin kind and the thick kind. I use the thick kind in my dressing, and I use a thin kind, organic, always organic, of course.
Right.
In the pickled onions.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
We'll talk after. Thank you guys.
Onions.
I had to get that tip.
I don't like onions, but I think I would like them pickled
I'll
because
send you the video for that one.
Thank you. That's my next thing. Can you take us through how this would work if they do join your program? Like,
sure. So, first thing I like to do, again, I want to make sure that they really want to learn how to cook. They're not just, want to pick up a few recipes. So, find out what they eat, what their favorite foods are. So I do a whole intake on where they're at. And then I figure out what their goals are. And based on that, like I said, I have 8 foundational skills. But maybe I'll swap out if they don't want to do something cooked, for example. I had someone take my program and they don't want to do grains. So I'll swap that out. So that's the first call, is to kind of come up with a strategy. And then maybe I usually start people with the salad and the dressing recipe. And then from there,
That's cool.
I show them how to make the beans, how to make the potatoes. So everything is a series of videos. And you're going to get like all of, like I said, the equipment, like links. You click on the link, you buy it from Amazon. Everything is straightforward. And then throughout the whole time, I usually recommend people finish the program within 2 months. And then the whole time I'm checking in, and answering questions related to the program. And then after they finish it all, if they do the whole program and they take a picture with all of the ingredients, and they can show them a picture, then they get a diploma that they passed. And then
Wow.
at the end, I have another conversation with them, another consultation with them, and based on their foods that they like, now that they learned how to make these raw ingredients, like when I say raw, I mean they know how to make beans and potatoes and different things. Now I'll show them a few tips at the end. How to make tacos. Like if they like tacos, okay, now everything you just made, go get these organic taco shells, and you can start from here. Or if they want to do a tomato, like a pasta, so I'll show them, or like the chili I made today. So after they learn the skills, I'll give a few recipes. If they want to go further, then like maybe they want to become a professional whole food plant-based chef. So I've done that. I've done catering. I had a catering company, and I also did private chefing. So it's a really great business. So let's say you like most people, unfortunately, don't want to take my program because they don't want to learn anything, but they would love to hire someone. So that's one of the things that I would, you might want to learn how to start a career. I'll help you start that career. So that's, if you finish the program and then you want to go further, like in another month of training, I can teach you how to start doing this for people. And people pay.
So you're like a consultant.
Yeah, I'm a consultant. Yes. Yeah. People pay good money. And that's what's cool. If I ever need money, like last year, actually, I was moving around a lot, and everything was not going my way. But I was able to find someone. People are always asking me to cook for them. And I usually say no. Because I'm like, I have a program. I'll train someone. I'd love, like, people, I tell people, like, you have like two choices, really, if you really want to be healthy. You either learn to cook, like you take my program or something like that, and you learn to make this food yourself, or two, you hire someone to do it for you, right? Now, I'm not saying you need to hire an expensive chef. Find your 16-year-old, 20-year-old nephew, niece, cousin, neighbor, sponsor them to take my program. And then in return, they'll give you like a month's worth of like cooking or something. But then now you don't have to pay them a lot. You can pay them $15 an hour. They're doing what they love. They're mastering a skill. They're starting a career for themselves. You know what I mean? And you pay them to do.
That's a good idea.
You pay them to do the shopping for you. You pay them to come over your house and make all the preparations, and then put it in the fridge, clean up, and leave. It's less money to do that, believe it or not, than it is to eat out every night, which most people, or just grab prepared food.
Or these services that deliver food are so high. Like, why would you do, like you said, it's not convenient and then people say it's too expensive. So that's why I gave it up.
On top of that, and on top of all of that, like, you're never going to get good quality food at a restaurant. I don't care if they say they're organic. They're going to cut corners because they have to survive. It's never going to be as good as if you buy the food fresh and cook it yourself, or have someone cook it for you, and eat it, Absolutely, I would like to. Having said that, my ultimate vision eventually is to have a sort of retreat center, like a little a place where I have some land, where I'm probably in Florida, where I'm going to have like a place for people to be educated, but also a cafe / zero waste whole food grocery / tea house. So you come in there, and there's going to be like all types of organic bulk spices and teas that you can have made there, or you can take it out, and beans, like 7 types of beans, and everything is like weighed out. There's no packaging. So that's my ultimate plan. And then you can come in there, and you could just, like Chipotle, you could walk out with the food. Like, you could just take home like some sauerkraut, some Whole Foods ceviche salad. Like, so I would love to.
Sounds so good.
I'd love to create something like that, and then have, multiple train people to franchise it or something.
That would be really cool.
I know, it's so in need. It's just, it's a big.
You can scale that really well.
Exactly.
Marakita said, I
Yep.
just talked to my friend who has a booth in the farmer's market. He said that people would whisper to him that they were vegan. Oh, I think she was talking about when we were saying it's like a bad word.
Mhm.
And Dawn, she wants to pickle onions. I want the video too, Jason. Marakita said,
I know. I
Buddha
don't
said, your idea sounds nice. How could I invest in you if I wanted to get my stock early? Oh, okay. She wants to come to the
Let
store,
me find out.
right? Definitely.
Yeah, I really gotta, you know, I got a couple of things that are coming before that, but yeah, I think they'll. I'm gonna find the resources to do that pretty soon.
Definitely. It was,
Talking about stock. You better join ADT, Buddha. I listen, I condensed all of that. I put that link into my link tree so I don't have to post 2 or 3 different links anymore.
What's that?
American Dream Trading. I'm part of a stock trading group.
Oh wow!
And
the word she heard
yeah.
the word stock, and that's all she thought of. I think she was
And
stocking
it's
up
so
on her
funny.
food.
It reminds me of what you're talking about, what he's done with teaching people how to trade in the stock market.
Mm.
And it's so beneficial. I've made some good money
Nice.
learning this.
It's funny because that's
So
something that's on my mind too. Like I want to do something very safe. So I've actually talked to a whole bunch of people who are like, this is so safe. Like this is like the safest mutual fund. So, but that's cool.
I would love to give you my
Please,
referral link.
please, let me check
Yeah.
it out.
You know what, too?
Yeah.
I was just saying this. I was working with someone earlier who's helping me like with a blog, right? And I like my whole life I always wanted to do everything on my own. I wanted to go online and figure out how to do this website. I would figure it out. I watched this 500 YouTube videos and I end up putting things off because I don't understand it and it gets too complicated. And just this year, the way that
But
Dawn
not right now,
said,
you're laser focused.
I'm going to pay this monthly to have this guy who's had 30 years of experience teach me how to trade stock. And you are that person, like for us with the cooking, because people don't realize, like you said, how much money you spend, how unhealthy you're eating, how you're ordering processed food. It's like, if you're going to invest in something, invest in you're not just learning 5 recipes, you're learning how to get those fundamental skills like she's learning with stock as an analogy. That's really, I think,
That's
great.
beautiful. That's so well said. Like you totally get that message. And I think
she's a writer.
Was that?
She's a
I
writer.
can tell. Yeah. And like that's something I notice about people and things too. Is like we have this idea of wanting to do everything ourselves, and we need to get out of that. Because we're going to have AI. Like I said, we're going to have these robots doing so much for us. We need to learn to just
delegate.
Delegate. Get the ego out of there, because if you're spending time doing this, you're taking away time from. Now, granted, if you don't have a lot of money and you're just getting started, I remember my first business. I was like selling organic spice and teas. Like I was doing everything myself.
Yeah.
I was getting these little bags, putting organic tea and spices in it, making like little labels, sticking it on there. And I was like, at the time, I was teaching like chair yoga to very old women at this class of very old women in their 90s. And I showed up with this and I was like, hey, check out my spices. And I just sold out.
Wow.
And then I went to the library and I sold it to the librarians. And then I started doing
what kind of yoga?
What's that?
Cherry yoga?
Chair yoga.
Chair yoga. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Nice. I do yoga, but I've never heard of chair yoga. That's pretty cool. 90, I don't guess you're doing, down dog and Virabhajasana warrior.
Right?
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's I think, we're starting this conversation us now, but yeah, we should really be thinking about how can we collaborate? How can,
Yeah. Well, the reason I asked you about the videos too is because I'm a video editor.
Oh.
So I do crazy videos, and I do that. Listen, this coach has memberships where he charges only like $150, $200 a month to learn how to trade stocks, but he's got a yearly thing where he includes indicators and workshops for $2,500 for the whole year.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he gave me that membership because I'm always just throwing him free content.
I love that.
I'm giving him free I'm doing promotional
did you do
videos
that
for him
video?
for free.
I watched the video of you, Jen, explaining the diabetes and how eating high fat. Did you do the
Jen did that.
So
Jen
I learned from her though. So like,
that was so cool.
How to use it, and then like I was like, I think I did one that looks like almost halfway like how good you could do it. So yeah, she's definitely gave me those skills because I didn't know how to make anything.
The animation and everything you did.
Yeah, it's it's a really cool thing. I'll send you the link.
Okay, we gotta talk. We gotta talk because
definitely
I'm in the process of wanting to just get things like a little more streamlined and.
Definitely. That is cool.
Nice.
And like I'm excited like to know like it's like how you can learn something every day just when you think you have it all figured out. And now I'm learning about the microbiome and like and then the fermenting and everything, and I'm like, even like what you said about sprouting and things, that's a reason that we would be, even if we were raw. It sounds like you have every basis covered, with your program to be able to give, because like I'm making a salad every single night. I feel like you could, explain to us how to make this in more of a bulk version so that it even doesn't seem as hard.
Absolutely. I took like you read the book Fiber Fueled, and I read all these books, and then I would look at the recipe section at the end, and it was overly complicated, and you had to like make a new thing every day, and there's like this thing in our culture, it's in every industry. It's like, if people are paying money, I have to give them more. So it turns into like complicated recipes, whereas less is more. So you pay me to make it simple. You pay me to take out all of, so I noticed these recipes were too complicated. They weren't teaching the foundational skills. So I just took the science. I took like I think Dr. Furman talks about like G bombs, right? And like Dr. B in Fiber Fuel talks about F goals, and like it stands for like, I don't know, fermented vegetables, like greens. It's and I just took all of what they're recommending and I just put it together. Sprouts is one of them. Like the S in the F goals is sprouts.
That's neat.
And sulforaphane.
Yeah. Now see, I'd take that and do that little video and have them circling and spelling out the words and everything, and do a nice little thing while your voice is speaking over it.
Nice. Okay. Yeah, I'm actually looking into this. Like ideally what I would love to do is do interviews with people, not just food, because I'm going to have like two different companies. One's like the Culinary Wisdom. The other one's going to be more like the consulting.
Yeah.
But I'd love to just make a video and then send that video to someone who can cut it up into, 3-minute, 5-minute clips.
That's what I do.
And then further cut it up into like 1-minute reels, 30-second reels for TikTok. Not for TikTok, I guess TikTok too. And then have someone upload it all. So I found companies that could do it, but I would definitely love to see what you do. And maybe you could be like my video, director, and then I could have a team of people just doing it, and you just tell them what to do. So yeah.
We can talk.
That's interesting. That sounds really cool. And you mentioned tea as well, like, and so do you have anything like that you recommend? Because I'm trying to get off of the coffee. I don't know if that's something you recommend, like a transition, or do you recommend caffeine at all, or is it just organic tea?
Yeah, most Americans get the majority of their polyphenols, their antioxidants, from coffee, which is good, but it's also not good to just have the same one. Plus, the coffee is like super high in caffeine. I love matcha. So I drink a cup of matcha every day, and matcha has incredibly good antioxidants. So many benefits. It's like, it's just amazing. And it also has something called theanine, which actually increases GABA. So
I was actually taking a supplement.
Did you say theanine?
Yeah.
I can get it from my tea. Look,
You
I'm
get it from your green tea.
There you go, John.
You want to
I
get
don't.
good quality matcha because then you're getting the caffeine, but you're also getting the theanine, so you feel good. That's why the Buddhist monks in China and Japan, they would drink matcha because they had high theanine, so it would help them meditate. You don't get that really high coffee, jolt, and you don't get the crash where you're craving another cup. So matcha, I would definitely recommend over coffee. The other thing I do a lot of is drink cacao, which is cocoa powder, organic raw
Right.
cocoa
Oh,
powder.
I've never had it.
It's like chocolate, right?
It's chocolate. It's like 100% cocoa powder. But
Kevin Winder used to always talk about cacao.
who is that?
Kevin Winder, he used to have a YouTube channel. I don't know whatever happened to him, but it was called Raw Healing Mastery.
Mm-hmm.
And he would always reference cacao
Yeah.
and always talk about
Cacao is off the charts, good for you, and it actually helps. It increases oxytocin, so you feel more love when you're eating cacao. So, but it's full of polyphenols. So to me, like every time I'm trying to constantly put these polyphenols into my system because why? Everything we do, from moving around, even eating, breathing, but especially stress, everything causes oxidation, meaning creating these harmful molecules called free radicals
that deteriorate
that
us.
they damage you. Yeah, they damage
Yeah.
your body, they damage your organs. When you
Ages
drink
you.
when you drink a cacao or matcha, you're getting these antioxidants into your bloodstream, and they suck up like a vacuum. They suck up the free radicals. So 5 times. So I'm drinking like 3 cups of cacao a day. I'm doing. I mean, not to mention all the fruits and vegetables, also like blueberries. So eating like a big serving of blueberries, you're doing the same thing. But to me, it's like sometimes I don't want to eat. I just want to drink. So I'm
Yeah.
drinking cacao. So all day long, I'm flooding myself with these polyphenols, and I just think of it as like this protection. It's just constantly protecting me.
That is
Awesome.
that's what I think is the cool thing that we always talk about. Like, why wouldn't you want to put all this good stuff in? And
Mhm.
Buddha said, "There y'all go. I love when a good business plan comes together." Yeah, I'm really excited for that, and she's like one of the best there is. So I love it.
Nice.
And sometimes these things are hidden. I feel like like these bigger companies that have all this advertising out there, and like you can find like a little gold mine sometimes with
Mhm.
just finding people online or even in that as a friend of a friend. So
My goal is to always make my videos look like the big guys, like it's something you would have seen on television, on a television commercial.
Wow.
I'd like you not to be able to tell the difference.
Mhm. I
I
love
love
it.
I love that too. And I love the fact that you have all this knowledge of what to put in. So if I'm going to learn how to cook from someone, I'm going to
Yeah.
learn from somebody with all this knowledge too.
Yeah, because like little things you can throw in there, like black seed is like this amazing. You know, you could look it up. Black seed. It's got so many benefits. So just adding these little spices, not only do they make it taste better, but they're adding so much benefit. So I'm trying to get as much benefits as possible in everything I do, not just food, in life, but you know, but sometimes people call it like stacking. It's like, well, I could make a smoothie. I could put a whole bunch of green vegetables in and some flax seeds and a banana. What else could I add? Oh, I could put this mushroom powder in. So now I'm getting mushrooms. So I'm always trying to get as much as I can. And the
Mhm.
cool thing about the body and what I've learned about polyphenols, and the more the better. The more colors, the more you put in, the better. So
What I was gonna say is, can you? I know we got to wrap up soon. We've kept you too long pulling all this knowledge out of
so
me.
good.
But before we get ready to end, could you just take us through like what do you eat? Because I always like to do that because people are
Yeah,
always like, "What do you eat? Like, what do you eat in a normal day? Like, kind of like just in
good
general. I
question.
know not the same thing, but
Well, like I said, like just like I think Dawn, I think you just switched more to a raw thing. So this is kind of new to me too. So what I've been doing now is For breakfast, first I walk a few miles every day before I eat anything. But my first meal, I'm doing one of those really big green smoothies with like a ton. Like I pack the Vitamix with green leaves, like baby kale, spinach, and chard, and I put in like a lot of flax seeds, and I put in berries, bananas. Sometimes I'll put in a whole apple, and some other things. Oh, I'll put in like fresh turmeric, some ginger, blend it all up, and I drink that. And that's I feel incredible after that.
Jolt of health. That's probably a
Yeah.
lot better than coffee for me. I'll tell you.
Oh
that.
yeah. And then after I have that, that's when I'll drink a cup of cacao. I'll make a big pot of cacao. So I'll have enough to make 3 cups for the whole day. So
What do you mix it with? Like, is it water and
water? But it's very bitter, so you might take getting used to. But I like to add soy milk to it, so it's you could sweeten it if you're already putting sweetener in your coffee. You could just put it in your cacao with soy milk, organic soy milk. I like the company Eden Soy; they're really good quality. Soy, you always want to get organic. It's one of the most toxic foods if it's not organic. So
interesting, and you recommend all organic, right?
What's that?
You recommend mostly all organic.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, avocados and a couple of things, it's not as important, but if I had the choice, yeah. And then for lunch, I'll have another one. So when I make that big thing of green smoothie, I'll make enough that I have leftover. So I drink another one for lunch. And then for lunch, I'll eat like a big thing of fruit. Sometimes I'll eat a salad too. Mm-hmm. So breakfast and lunch is pretty much, but what I used to do, I used to add like the potatoes and the beans for lunch, but now I'm not doing that. I'm keeping my lunch also raw. So it's like salad,
love it.
Salad, and then fruits and another smoothie. For dinner, I'll usually have definitely beans. So I'll eat a lot of beans, maybe some whole grains.
You throw rice and beans together?
Yeah, I'll do like the millet. I like millet. I like brown rice. I like, and sometimes I'll mix grains like kamut with the rice. So you get a little bit different texture and different, health benefits. Yeah, that's dinner. And then I'll eat, after dinner, maybe I'll eat more fruit and maybe some chocolate, or maybe I'll take some almond butter and add some cacao and a little bit of like molasses or date syrup. Mix it up, and it's kind of like a Reese's peanut butter cup or something.
I knew he was going to say that. Why did I know he was going to say that?
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
That's my fave.
We're going to be getting these ingredients.
Which I don't eat anymore, obviously. But yeah, any way I can find to have a
you can make it. That. You can make it healthy. You can make it good.
That is excellent. And like, that's so much better and healthier. Like, and do you use, do you cook with a lot of oil or?
It's funny that you said that too, because for 2 years, I really didn't use any oil. I would sometimes, I would make like cashew cream sauce. I would like use the whole cashew, make like hemp seed, hemp milk. So I would make different sauces with whole foods. But I have looked at the research and I talked to Jeff, and it's just pretty overwhelming that very high quality extra virgin olive oil. It does have a lot of calories, but it does have really good health benefits. So what I've been doing now is, like I said, when I don't put it on salads. On salads, I use like tahini, which is a whole food, or I'll make a cream sauce. But recently, I've been cooking. Like when I make the beans, I'll cook the onions and celery and carrots and the chili powder. I'll cook it in some olive oil, and then I'll add. So I do get a little oil now, and it's so delicious because I haven't had oil in 2 years. So
right,
now just a little bit of olive oil. It's so good, and I think it's good so far.
Avocado oil's not bad either.
Which one?
Avocado oil.
I like the olive better. I like the olive oil better. personally, because you're getting all the polyphenols. There's polyphenols, like you get more from eating the olives, but in the olive oil, extra virgin organic olive oil, you're getting really good polyphenols, and I don't think you quite get those in avocado oil. So I
Can
would say
you eat an olive? Like, do people eat those without pickling or whatever to them?
you can't. You have to cure them.
That's what I was thinking.
You can't eat a raw olive. It's just undigestible. It tastes horrible. So there's different ways to do it. But I don't like one of them is called oil. Like, okay, another issue is salt. I know a lot of people don't like salt. So olive is very high in salt. So you don't eat too many of them. I'm not one of these whole food people who are like afraid of salt. You know, I eat much less salt than I used to. I used to eat so much salt. And the cool thing about whole food plant-based diet is you're getting so much potassium. So potassium counteracts sodium. So
Oh, nice.
yeah, so my Vitamix is literally stuffed with green vegetables, high in potassium, bananas, hemp seeds. So, but anyway, yeah. So as far as olives go, just to answer that question, you can oil cure it, where you put the olives in oil and you let it sit. That's how you get these really dark black, like bitter olives. But I prefer the, I guess it's salt cured. I like it. I prefer it salt cured. So they're both salty, but one of them is very oily. So, but there's no way to eat a raw olive. Like,
That's good to know. That's why you always get them like that, I guess. Now we never
Yeah.
see them in the bin, right? Here, get your olives. It's always in the jar, or And I love that you can, like that whole like thing, like you said. It seems like we've went away from that because people used to do that a lot. Keeping stuff longer and pickling and different things, and like now to bring that back to like, okay, you don't have to buy that stuff on the shelf. You can
Right.
do it yourself, and we always think it's too hard. Like, how long does it take
I
to
was literally just gonna say that. So you go to Walmart, you go to different stores. It's $9 for a bag of sauerkraut, right? And I don't like the fact that it's in a bag. I don't like plastic, but that's $9 for like 16 ounces. $8. Whereas it literally takes 5 minutes to prepare. Like, you just have to chop up a vegetable and put it in salt water, and you're done. And it literally costs, like, instead of $8, it costs about 75 cents.
Oh, that's crazy. So like, if you wanted to do sauerkraut, if you bought a head of cabbage, and you could then like do what you like, shred that up, and then like on your program they would tell you when they click on those videos, is that where that would tell you how much salt, how much water?
It's all in the video. It's all in the you get the PDF. Literally takes 5 minutes. How much salt to put in, how much water to put in, and the equipment to get, and you're done. You have to let it sit for 1 week. You have to make sure the temperature is right, but it's pretty much room temperature. Unless your house is really hot, you won't have an issue.
Do you also let them know, because I know a lot of people are so worried about different kinds of water now, would you have that on there to recommend what you typically would use?
Yeah, I mean, I don't get into that there, although I do work with people. I work with Dr. Lou. So a whole issue that's very important to health, which I didn't bring up at all today, I'll bring it up now a little bit, is toxins. Like, that's why organic is more important than ever. And even organic, you're still getting chemicals. It's just everywhere. They spray everything. So water is very high in toxins, like tap water. But bottled water also has problems because you're getting the plastic from the bottles. So I do recommend a good water filter.
Okay.
And I do use that in my fermentation. Some people say, I mean, I haven't seen this, but like chlorine is in the water and it's an antibacterial. That's why they put it in. So some people say if you use that when you do the fermentation, it won't ferment properly because the chlorine is killing the water. So it's killing the good bacteria as well. I don't know if that's true, but I don't recommend drinking tap water. I don't care how clean it
I
is.
haven't in many years, and I
Good.
don't know which kind. I'm probably just getting as many toxins in my little plastic bottles too, but I definitely need to get some type of. We have a filtration system that we bought. It like goes under the sink, but there might be easier ways that
You have
probably.
one that goes under the sink? Yeah, like a fully, is it reverse osmosis?
Yes, that's what it is.
Oh,
Yes,
that's great. That's great.
but we haven't installed it yet because it looks a little scary.
Oh, well, I have one that's called the AquaTrue. It's tabletop, like it fits on your table. It's a little inconvenient, but it makes like a gallon of water in like 15 minutes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then I used to have the Berkey, which is like it doesn't require electricity. You just put the water in, and that takes like 30, 40 minutes to make a gallon. But from what I have seen and talking to Dr. Lou, who really knows her stuff, she doesn't seem to think the Berkey can get enough out. I think they're even in a lawsuit right now. So
Do you and I know you're we're gonna link all this, but your YouTube is Culinary Wisdom, and you have a lot of interviews where you
yeah,
speak with Dr. Lou. That's where I knew that name
yes,
from, which is really cool. And Jeff I know was on there, and do you do like a like just certain guests like over like repeat guests, or do you work with new people, or how does your
yeah.
set
Well,
up?
like I said, I'm branching into like another business, so that I'm almost thinking about having a lot of Jeff come back on, and that is going to be all about whole food plant based. So
Hmm.
um, people have an interesting product they want to talk about, I would have them on there. But the other business is going to be like Conscious Karma Collective. And that show, I'm going to bring on all types of different people, not just related to food. Anybody who's just making good, teaching people how to live better, how to make better choices is going to be on that show.
Oh, that's really cool. Well,
Yeah.
I love everything. It's almost like you have all this knowledge. It's hard for you to hone it in, isn't it? Like I feel like
Yeah,
you do all these different things. You're like, how do I piece this together? And the
exactly.
cooking
It
program
is a
was
challenge. It is a real challenge.
yes.
Yeah.
I can see because you have so much knowledge. That's why I'm like, oh my goodness, I have to let this man eat his dinner because it's like I keep thinking of other questions. But we can definitely do this again.
I'll definitely come back and do it again for sure.
Thank you, because I will probably think of 300 more things, and I'll share your, your links on my Facebook page, and then we'll put them. I like to put them in the comments since some people don't know how to get to the descriptions of the videos, so I'll do that after the replay comes up. And
Thank
if
you.
you just want to, like, I guess, tell us anything that you want to say, like in closing. Is there a message or like talk about your website?
Well, just let's get vegan to 50. Yeah. Um, the website is culinarywisdomskills.com, and anyone can reach out to me. We can have a conversation for free, and love to meet anybody, any of your listeners. And just eat more vegetables and fruit. Go get some good fruit. Like you go to Whole Foods. Okay, here's a piece of advice. Like you go to Whole Foods and people are like, oh, like a pint. Like right now it's like blueberry season. Like so berries are cheaper. So like I can go grab a kombucha, right? People don't think anything of it, like spending $3-4 of that. I'll buy a whole pint of strawberries and just eat the whole pint in one sitting.
Yeah, I'll do that. Or blueberries.
Exactly. And you
I
feel
love them.
so good because you're getting fiber, you're getting a lot of water. Believe it or not, I don't think people know this. You actually get more hydration from eating fruits and vegetables than drinking water.
Minister Wellness said that,
And
didn't he, Jen?
Miss Mary told us that.
Yeah.
So basically, water has different structures, and the way water always occurs in nature, because nature is the most efficient system. It doesn't make any mistakes. So the way it structures its water is in a hexagonal structure. So it means that there's 6 water molecules like around, just like a pencil, like here has like 6 sides, like a honeycomb in the beehive has 6 sides, because that's the most efficient shape, is to have 6 sides to fit together a thing. So when all the water you get from foods structures their water in this efficient way, and our bodies are designed to absorb water in that way. So that's why when you eat a watermelon, you feel so much more satiated than when you just drink water. When I was in Egypt, right, I was in the desert. I was in this place.
I literally just experienced that.
But no, this was nasty. This was really, really like 100.
No, I'm talking about the watermelon versus the I'm drinking about, and I'm
I thought you said the Egypt part. Yes, exactly.
I was like, you went to Egypt, Don? When did you do that?
I went to I remember just like 115 degrees, and there was like really little, not much food around, and when you eat that watermelon, like it's like you just feel it going into you. I mean, sure, you're getting polyphenols, you're getting some glucose, but you just feel so satiated as opposed to just drinking water. Like you don't feel like anything.
Yeah.
That's really good to know. I was going to ask you that.
Yeah, just eating that watermelon, because I drink water constantly all day. I try to get a gallon in. And just eating the watermelon, I don't drink nearly as much. I don't have to. I don't feel the need to.
Cucumbers also are related to
watermelon. I love
them.
I love sort of vegetable, or those, I guess some people think they're vegetable type fruits, you know, like, because I always thought cucumbers were a veggie because you always get them in like salads and you don't think of fruit. And like, I just, for some reason, I've always been like a more savory type person. I wasn't one of those people, like, even as a kid, I ate candy, but I wasn't like the candy junkie where I had to have candy all the time. I kind of still liked other stuff. So when I went to the mostly fruit, it was like at night, I was like, kind of, my body was like, I don't want anything else sweet. I want, so that's where I ended up. I started out with just doing fruit on this. And then I went to like, I wanted salads and cucumbers and that oil and vinegar dressing that like, I just was craving that savory. So that's how I ended up on that as my third meal, or really second meal, because I don't eat a lot during the day. And like, that is, I'm like, it's just, I've learned so much from this. And Dawn, with your water, like, I've heard this from people. She's such a big advocate of keeping our body hydrated. And like, we've been hearing this off and on now about you can get it from fruit. So like, do you recommend people that, like, are there people that that can satiate themselves just on fruit that do that, especially?
I drink a lot of water. But yes, there are stories of people in Mexico who would have very little water, and they would just use chia seeds, believe it or not. And they would put a little bit of water in the chia seed, and then they would eat that, and that would hydrate them much more than drinking water.
Wow.
I guess you're right. It's getting from the fruit is giving us what we need too. So like,
it's more absorbable. That type, and vegetables too, not just fruit. Anything that comes from nature is going to be structured. When you cook it, it loses that.
Right.
That's the thing. There is some stuff that I read that you have to, like, cooking makes it more nutrient dense.
Yes. They say like tomatoes and carrots are better when you cook them a little bit.
But not over.
Yeah, obviously not overcooked, but it's, I would still recommend eating raw tomatoes and carrots. It's just that or fermented, when you cook them, it brings out certain nutrients become more absorbable, but other things go down. So
you're right. It's like a balance.
Fermenting over cooking, which would you prefer?
Which one?
Fermenting over cooking. If you could just do one, what would it be?
I mean, fermenting is is healthier. Fermenting is great from a health point of view, but fermenting is like a condiment. You don't want to eat crazy amounts of it.
Okay.
It's also high in salt, so
right.
I supplement it. But yeah, actually, in my chili today, I'm gonna put some fermented jalapenos in it.
Oh,
that sounds good.
And like for us that don't want to do completely cooked, and we can still get a lot of nutrients, get an easier thing to digest, and get that salt taste.
Exactly.
That was a good question, Don. I'm glad we know now, because I'm glad he said that,
so
we don't start pickling everything. They're fermenting their whole life, right? We're now on the ferment diet, like.
Yeah, no, it's a really good, it's really cool because it's raw, but it's also a little digested. You're not, in other words, it's raw because you're not using heat. You're not damaging it with heat. But I would like to see a little bit more data on if anything gets damaged from fermenting it.
Yeah.
But that's why, again, I would eat both, raw and fermented.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Well, I am like so hungry now that we've been talking about all this. And
I know, me too.
Sauerkraut all of a sudden, right? It's like I was on a little bit of a kick. Maybe like, what was that? Like a couple of years ago? Was it last year? I can't remember. But I was having sauerkraut with every meal because I heard this information about the microbiome, and I'm like,
that was last year.
Was it last year? And then now it's like coming back to me again, and I'm like, oh, I love this. How things keep revisiting. You forget about them, and then it's like. Eventually, by the time I'm 100, I'm going to be super healthy.
No, that's cool. The older I get, too, the more I learn. So it's just, we're all going to age, we're all going to die, but you just kind of do it. You just get more and more tools to make your life better. And
for longer periods of time.
What's that?
Better quality of life for longer periods of time.
Absolutely.
I think it's like feeling good. I don't know, for me, like I thought I was loving the food I used to eat, when I was growing up and stuff. And then you'd feel really tired, and like I had a lot of different things going on, like overweight, allergies, probably pre-diabetic, pre-high blood pressure and everything. And it's like that 10 minutes of eating that burger, when I can find something just as healthy, doesn't cause suffering, tastes good, and it gives me energy and prevents disease instead of bringing it on. I'm like, how could you not do this? It's like you just want to scream it to the world. And like the people like you that take people from point A to point B, though, is so important, because it's like we all need to know how, and we don't all have like all this knowledge about the body to know what's good for us, because we're hearing all this different garbage online. Like, we want to know from somebody who actually gives us a why and a reason behind it, like not just, eat this and this is what you're supposed to do, like we were all grew up. So thank you for taking all this time with us.
Yes, thank you. It's been amazing.
Questions. And thank you, Buddha 1000, for being here and for your support and for always coming through, getting people to subscribe. And Marikita,
moderator on YouTube.
Stream. I heard Jason on her stream one of the first times too. So thank you for being here and always supporting us. Even if you can't catch the live, she catches our replays. Dawn, for your excellent video skills, and Jason, of course, for your culinary wisdom and all your knowledge. Like, it's really wild to hear someone who has all this knowledge and is piecing it together.
Well, thank you so much. We'll be in touch real shortly about many things we talked about today.
Definitely. And speaking of videos, you get to watch one of our edited videos that we're doing now. Jen wrote we put our two skills together. She wrote an amazing poem, and I edited a video to it. So we always end each segment with this poem. So enjoy.
The only thing is, we went whole food plant-based after this, so we're thinking of editing out those replacement meats. But other than that,
right. We got some Beyond in there and some.
That's all right. I'll check it out. That sounds awesome.
Well, you have a good night.
You too.
And we definitely have to communicate soon, and I'll make sure you get the referral link. You got to check out American Dream Trading. It's amazing.
All right. I'm excited.
CulinaryWisdomSkills.com. We're going to link that and his pages. Thank you.
Beautiful. Anyone reach out to me. Let's talk.
All right. Everybody have a great night.
Good night.
If we can become a plant-based nation, we could get off all our medication. We want to keep doing things like we were, donating to organizations claiming to fight for a cure. But the cure is already in front of our eyes, and it's time for us to wake up and realize. We may not want to believe we have control. It's easier for most of us to metaphorically live in a hole. So many stories of how being plant-based has reversed disease. It's funny that we can't stop eating meat with ease. We want to continue to look for the answer, yet people have reversed even cancer. I think finally as a nation, it's time to give people the truthful information. Your hard-earned money is what you pay to take your medicine day after day. Sadly, there's a lot of money being made in people staying sick. This has to finally make something click. We have to have this revelation that a cure means not selling medication. There's so many myths and misconceptions, but it's eye-opening once you make the connections. That meat and dairy are causing insulin resistance, it's not sugar and carbs causing diabetes, for instance. Scientifically, our bodies are not set up like carnivores. We model those who eat plants. If you can heal, why not give it a chance? You follow your car's owner's manual for what gas it takes, yet for our bodies without care, we feed it steaks. That's like giving an unleaded car diesel to drink. Our bodies will reject it, don't you think? I'm not here to tell you what to do, but to be a voice, that when it comes to your health, you have the choice. With just a few adjustments to your diet, I can help if you just want to try it. I've found testimonials that people have reversed every ailment and disease by simply eliminating meat, eggs, milk, and cheese. There's a tasty substitute for all the things you already eat. You can get all your nutrients without eating meat. Save the animals, the environment, and yourself just by making a few different selections off the grocery store shelf. It's never too late. I've seen it work at all age ranges. It's my passion, and I can't wait to hear about your positive health changes. It's time for the world to wake up and heal, and you can start with your very next meal.